Today on Lyrics to Go, I break down a Metallica classic that is truly a master class in heavy metal lyricism.
Lyrics to go.
Welcome to Lyrics to Go. I'm Daniel Maté, and this is the second installment in my Anatomy of a Perfect Lyrics series here on Lyrics to Go. First time out, I looked at the song New Frontier by Donald Fagen, a very different type of song than the one we're looking at today, but what they have in common is I consider their lyrics pure perfection. Before we go any further, please take a moment and subscribe below so you can get all of the content that I put out here on Lyrics to Go. Click the bell so you get notified when I drop new videos. Head on over to patreon.com/lyrics2go to check out what extra content and other benefits you can get as a paid supporter of this channel. And yeah, thanks for being here. Please share, please like, do all the things you do when you really enjoy a YouTube video. So the first thing that hits you about Master of Puppets when you're listening to it is, of course, the music. And it is truly masterful. This is back in their era of complicated arrangements, multi-part songs with all kinds of different riffs and transitions and strange time signatures and ripping solos and sometimes gorgeous instrumental breaks with like an acoustic breakdown, which happens in the middle of this song. And just as a sonic experience, it is extremely thrilling and compelling. But when you start to listen a little deeper, what puts the song over the top is the lyrics themselves. As I covered in some detail in my Unsung Gems series on Metallica, there's 3 videos in the series, and you can check them all out at any time. James Hetfield writes lyrics that are very disciplined, very specific. One of the ways he does that is that the music really informs the shape of the lyrics. So whether or not the song starts out with a concept, the lyrics are the thing that I think generally come last. Now, what that means is you can be very deliberate in sticking to a specific rhythmic scan. And James Hetfield does that fastidiously. You'll rarely hear him play with the number of syllables in a line or with the rhyme scheme. It stays very consistent throughout. And it makes for, I think, a really interesting puzzle of how he's going to fit different syllables into these very concise melodies. And we can see that right off the bat. Let's look at that rhyme scheme and that rhythmic scan in detail so we can see what the template is for the rest of the verse lyrics. So end of passion play, 5 syllables, crumbling away, 5 syllables, I'm your source of self-destruction. So 5, 5, and 8. Well, the next 3 lines follow that exact same pattern. Veins that pump with fear, sucking darkest clear, leading on your death's construction. And as you can see from the way I've color coded it, the rhyme scheme is sort of like AAC, BBC, and those letters are totally arbitrary. We're just assigning a different letter to the different rhyming sounds. And that rhyme scheme too will also stay consistent throughout all the verses. Those first 2 lines are pretty boldly poetic. End of passion play. What's a passion play? Well, I think it's like a drama of suffering, right? It comes from the Christian tradition, crumbling away. So there's some conclusion to a saga of woe here. There's decay, right? Crumbling away, but we don't quite know where we are. I'm your source of self-destruction. All of a sudden, there's a direct address from the narrator to someone being sung to. And though we might not know who or what that narrator is, we know it ain't good. And then we get a big clue into what that source of self-destruction is with the word veins, veins that pump with fear. Okay, well, we're dealing with something visceral, something blood related, and I don't think it takes, too much thought to start to clue into injection drugs here. Then a couple of lines that I always heard differently than the way they're usually printed. Veins that pump with fear, sucking darkest clear. I always heard it as sucking darkness clear, but I guess darkest clear makes just as much sense. And what it brings to mind for me is also that injection image of maybe, pulling out the stopper of a syringe and the blood filling the chamber, sucking darkest clear. But it's very poetic and elusive, leading on your death's construction. I always thought it was feeding on your death's construction. And that makes a little bit more sense to me as a phrase, right? I'm feeding off of this death of yours that I'm constructing. But I guess leading on your death's construction could be taken to mean I'm leading you on towards a certain death. Then we come to a pre-chorus. It's part of the verse, but clearly we're transitioning what I would call an on-ramp into the chorus.
Taste me, you will see. More is all you need. Dedicated to how I'm killing you.
And rhythmically, it borrows from the verse, but it's actually more consistent. It's just 5 syllables 4 times. Taste me, you will see, etc. The rhyme scheme is also more square. A, A, B, B.
Now, I bet all you Metallica lyric aficionados out there, all like 4 of you, are saying, hey, you missed a word, Daniel. If you look at the official Metallica lyric sheet on their website for Master of Puppets, it's clearly you're dedicated to how I'm killing you. And I know that, and I think that's wrong. If you actually listen to it, I don't hear the word your. It would be a pickup note that would give it 6 syllables in that line. And either way, I prefer it without it because it keeps the scan consistent. 5 syllables for each of the 4 lines. So there you go.
And it works so well as a pre-chorus. I mean, the lyric itself is menacing and threatening. It's a lot more direct. Taste me, you will see. There's our first command in the song. And the song is full of nefarious commands to the one who's being spoken to. So it's a command, it's a threat, and it's kind of a seduction. It's like, come here, you know you want it. And you really start to get the sense of how much power this narrator has. So much power, in fact, that the listener, or I would say the user, is in fact dedicated to the way the drug or the puppet master is killing them. And that's an incredible line, dedicated to how I'm killing you. It's a single sentence, and Hetfield finds a rhyme in the middle so he can kind of split it up and make it into 2 lines, but it's a single thought across them both. Very, very eloquent and to the point and horrifying and awesome. And with that extended word, you, which is sung at a very high pitch, all of a sudden we're into the chorus. Now, we've already had a pre-chorus. It's interesting that the chorus itself has 2 distinct sections. It starts off with these commands. And this is, of course, the most well-known part of the song, the most iconic. You wouldn't believe what it sounds like to be at a Metallica concert, which I've done, I think, 3 or 4 times, and hear the entire crowd screaming along to Master, Master. And what a spooky image of this command to come crawling faster. Crawling is difficult enough as it is. You ever tried to crawl fast? But we get a sense of the desperation of the addict who needs to come crawling faster to this controlling entity in his or her life. And the line, your life burns faster, is very powerful because the promise is pretty explicit. It's truth in advertising. It's not like the drug is saying, come on, man, you're going to live happily ever after. It's awesome. Isn't this fun? We're going to have a great time together. Nope. Your life burns faster. Obey, motherfucker. And that, of course, speaks eloquently to the power of addiction. Many hardcore addicts know full well that they're killing themselves, but the compulsion to keep using, to keep filling that void, whatever that is just too powerful to stop. And now we get into the body of the chorus, and it actually starts with the same word, master of puppets. I'm pulling your strings. So that's a very interesting effect. Obey your master, master.
Master of puppets, I'm pulling your strings. Twisting your mind and smashing your dreams. Blinded by me, you can't see a thing. Just call my name, 'cause I'll hear you scream. Master, master. Just call my name, 'cause I'll hear you scream. Master, master.
Now, I never noticed it before, actually. I always thought that all 4 of those lines were meant to rhyme with each other, and there was a kind of imperfect rhyming going on. But no, there's actually an organized rhyme scheme going on there that's like A, B, A, B. So I'm pulling your strings. And then in the third line, you won't see a thing. You can't see a thing. In the second line, smashing your dreams, I'll hear you scream. So that is a very sharp attention to detail. And, I've been listening to this song for 30 years and I'd never even noticed it, but it helps make it that much sharper. And from this chorus, you really get the full tragedy of this situation. I'm pulling your strings, I'm smashing your dreams, I'm blinding you. You can't see a thing. Just call my name because I'll hear you scream. There's even a note of sympathy, or at least paying attention, right? No one else will hear you scream. I will, and I'll give you what you need, and it'll kill you. Now, when you watch these reaction videos, some people at this point are still a little unsure what the song is about. The second verse completely drives it home. Needlework the way.
Never you betray. Life of death becoming clearer. Pain monopoly. Ritual misery. Down your breakfast on a mirror.
Well, what poetry here? Needlework the way. Once again, we're missing all kinds of conjunctions and prepositions and whatnot. What's he saying? Needlework is the method by which this death is being constructed. And needlework itself is such a clever phrase. You don't talk about needlework usually when you're talking about syringes and injection. Needlework has to do with, yarn and knitting and whatnot. But he's using that metaphor to conjure the method of drug delivery. It's really sophisticated, I think.
Also, some very nice alliteration on the W sound. Needlework the way. Wow, wow, wow.
Never you betray, a very Hetfieldian line, not a complete English clause, but what is he saying? You will never betray this habit. I'm the one that you will pay fealty to, that you'll be loyal to. Life of death becoming clearer. What a cool little line. This is a life of death and it's becoming clearer. Now, what's even better is the rhyme he's setting up. Pain monopoly, ritual misery, both so cool. Chop your breakfast on a mirror. And that is where most reactors to this song, when they're hearing it for the first time, are like, okay, I see you.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Because if this motherfucker is talking about what the fuck I think he's talking about, this is bars and a half, bro. Hold on, cuz.
He's talking about snorting.
It's cocaine. You line it up and
But on a mirror.
on a mirror. Yeah.
Like how?
They talking about the dopamine hit that fucks the body up. That what the fuck they talking about?
The drugs are the master.
Lay the mirror sideways and you take a blade or something, chop it up, make your lines, and
And the people with the addiction are the puppets.
That is some fucking A+ MC lyrical shit.
Oh my God. Okay, now I know what he's talking about.
I really think Chop Your Breakfast on a Mirror is one of the most brilliant and saddest lines I've ever heard about drug use. This is your breakfast, baby.
Cocoa Puffs are part of this complete breakfast.
And then we have the same pre-chorus as before, right? Taste me, you will see. More is all you need. Dedicated to how I'm killing you. And the exact same chorus as before. So the second verse has upped the stakes, given us a more specific image of what's going on, clued us in, for those of us in the back, that we are talking about drug use with needlework and the chopping up something on a mirror. And then we get to hear the chorus again. Come crawling faster, obey your master, etc. And, your life burns faster and you're totally dedicated to me. And thus begins one of the most beautiful instrumental sections in all of rock music. And while the focus of this conversation is the lyrics, music and lyrics go hand in hand. I've said this a million times. Without music, lyrics are just words on a page. They're just sort of poetry, and they don't often work on the page alone. The music is what elevates them. And so here in an instrumental section, the softness, the gentleness, the sadness, and the poignancy of this music, I think it brings out the poignancy of the lyric, like a matching flavor, like salt that brings out the flavor of something. And I love the way Metallica does this, because the lyrics are often very aggressive, but the music has these different tasting notes that brings out something more vulnerable than you might hear at first. And then, of course, inevitably, the chugging heavy metal comes back in, and we're into a very slow, deliberate kind of groove.
Oh!
Now, this is the bridge. And what happens in this bridge is incredible. It's something that Metallica has done a number of times. I talked about them doing it in the song Disposable Heroes from the same album. They switch up the narrator, they switch up who's speaking. We've already heard from the puppet master. Let's hear from the puppet.
Master, master, where's the dreams that I've been after? Master, master, promised only lies. Laughter, laughter, all I hear or see is laughter. Laughter, laughter, laughing at my cries.
Now notice, what is the puppet saying? What is he crying out? What is he screaming out? He's screaming out the very mantra, the very call that the puppet master was commanding him to, master, master. And from the start, we get this tension because the puppet is obeying the puppet master, but the puppet is also crying out, where's those dreams that I've been after? Master, master, promised only lies. Promised by who? Promised by the master of puppets. Now, this is like a protest or a cry from the heart, but it's not a rebellion. There's no power in this. It's just a plea. Like, what happened to those dreams I've been chasing? Where are those good feelings I'm supposed to have? And then something very clever, laughter, laughter. All I hear or see is laughter. Well, laughter rhymes with after. Laughter sounds a lot like master, so they substitute it in place of master, master. And this image of hearing laughter, but also seeing it everywhere, these angry, laughing, mocking faces, which you really get is what it feels like to be in a paranoid, self-destructive spiral. The world looks very, very hostile to you. Laughter, laughter, laughing at my cries. So just look at what a concise little bridge that is, all the internal rhyming and the desperate, sad, forlorn image that it creates.
And it almost goes without saying, but the juxtaposition of promises and lies, laughter and cries, when you have this few syllables to find these pairings that say so much in so few words is the act of a true lyrical craftsman.
So you could, based on that, be rooting for the puppet to say, okay, I'm done with you. Enough. I can't do this anymore. But it ain't going to happen. Just at that moment, the bass and drums kick into the faster tempo, the original tempo, and these ripping guitar chords. And just as we launch into a blistering Kirk Hammett solo, one of his greatest, James screams out, "Fix me." And those, in a sense, are the puppet's last words. After all his pleas, after all his cries, all he wants is relief. All he wants is his fix. And of course, there's something broken inside of him that can't be fixed. And then we're into the solo, which, besides being completely brilliant, is fucking hard to play. And which leads us right into the climactic third verse. And what a climax it is.
Just a rhyme without a reason. Never-ending pace. Kick the number days. Now your life is out of season. I will occupy. I will help you die. I will run to you. Now I rule you too.
So hell is worth all that. All what? It's worth all the ecstasy and the agony of the drug experience. And it's really conjured by the solo we've just sat through with this screaming guitar that really does sound like souls in torment and in ecstasy in some kind of hell. Natural habitat, what does that mean? Well, it's like, this is where you live now, or maybe you are where I live and you are perfectly hospitable for me, the drug, the puppet master. But either way, there's a sense of fit, of inevitability, of fate. just a rhyme without a reason. I love that line. It's a play on the common expression, there's no rhyme or reason. Well, here he's saying there is a rhyme, right? There is a fit, but there's no reason to it. It's not rational. There's no reason for it, right? Two different meanings of the word reason. And there's a sense of meaninglessness. Never-ending maze, drift on numbered days. Now, I always thought it was drift unnumbered days. Either way, it works great, right? If you're drifting unnumbered days, this is limitless. This is eternal. This is always going to be like this. But probably the lyric sheet is right here. Drift on numbered days. Your days are numbered. So you can hear it a different way, but either way, it's beautiful. And this is the capper. This is what he was setting up with rhyme without a reason. Now your life is out of season. Time's up. And if that's not enough, I mean, I feel like the lyric could rest on its laurels here and just settle in for the pre-chorus and into the chorus, which are so familiar by now, so anthemic. But Hetfield's not quite done. What he does many times in his lyrics, and he does it to incredible effect here, is right at the end, he switches something up. He doesn't waste an inch of real estate. He packs in a new set of lines for the pre-chorus the very last time. So the focus of the pre-chorus lyrics changes up here. Instead of more is all you need, I will occupy. I will help you die. I will run through you. Now I rule you too. There's more use of the word I in there than anywhere else in the song. And it's this chest thumping assertion of complete and total domination. This is absolutely brutal lyric writing in the very best way. Hetfield, when he was in his element, writing from a place of pain and anger and subjugation and all these very, very dark human experiences, was like no other lyricist I've ever heard. So I hope that whether you were familiar with this song to begin with, or whether this is your first time, that this gives you some deepened enjoyment about what's going on in the lyrics. Metallica is the kind of band that writes headbanging and thought-provoking songs at the same time. All right, that's it. If you enjoyed what you saw here, please click subscribe and click the bell below. Head on over to patreon.com/lyrics2go to see what else I offer to the kind folks who support this channel financially. Please check out the back catalog, all the many videos I've done on lyrics of all kinds. And yeah, please come back. It's great to have you. For now, I'm Daniel Maté saying, I've got lyrics to go, and now you do too. Wahahaha.
Woo! Woo! Yeah, they're killing this. Already, bro.
This is deep, bruh.
Oh my God.
Snake face.
God. Yeah.
This is a musical orgasm now.
Oh, I could just listen to this all day.
I will help you die.
Woo!
Just call my name.
Let's.
Yeah, you got to. You got to give it up. You got to give credit where credit's due.